Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And something is in the air. Something is changing at some of these media outlets.
Yeah, something's going on.
I think they realize that they might be on the wrong side of the fandom, and it might be impacting their views.
Or it could be that we keep calling them out in the fact that they used to report the news and now it's just, kind of like Tumblr. Politics and agenda.
Yeah, pretty much.
So interestingly enough, we've noticed a shift, and mostly it's only been the last day or two that we're noticing it.
Yeah, there's been a little more balance coming to comic book resources. Mm-hmm. And in fact, they're echoing a lot of sentiments that a lot of YouTubers have been expressing for months/years, and there is an uptick in articles that I would consider to be more fan-friendly.
Yeah. Now, there still are mostly the articles you'd expect, on there. But there have been the last couple of days ones that were more reasonable and, bringing up points that people have mentioned. And I was very surprised to see this.
Yeah, something is amiss. So we're going to talk about that in this episode. Please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants. We're only about 1,200 away from
1,100.
1,100.
Yes.
100,000.
We're so close.
So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So we are excited about that, and we really appreciate the support, guys. And we're gonna talk about this strange turn of events here in the last few days at Comic Book Resources. Maybe we weren't paying attention, but
I check it every day. So no, I just noticed it was. I'm like, I noticed it first with the Rotten Tomatoes article, and I'm like, which we're gonna talk about in a minute. And then I was like, okay. And then I noticed a couple other things, and then you found this one with the Watchmen, and I was just like, well, that's from 3 or 4 days ago. But it's just been recent. There's been some things I've noticed that it's kind of like being more fair.
I think Comic Book Resources is becoming a news outlet for alt-right Yahtzees.
Maybe no, I don't think that. I think maybe they got tired of like losing money.
I think that could be. I think they're starting to maybe see that. It could be that they don't actually feel this way, but they're seeing that the fans are going to YouTube and they're leaving news outlets like Comic Book Resources in the dust, and they're just trying to be a little more balanced, because a lot of the articles on Comic Book Resources, which again, for most of its lifetime, has been a pretty balanced website. It's only been the last 3 or 4 years that they have become, in my opinion, kind of anti-fan, with a lot of hit pieces. Now, it does depend on the writer.
Right. I think it depends on what they're covering too, and what the mandate has been put out in all the media outlets, because you definitely see a pattern. We're going to talk about that in another episode. But yeah, it caught me. I was really surprised, especially about the Rotten Tomatoes articles.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a couple of articles here that we came across just in the last couple of days that seem to gel with where fans actually are and what YouTubers have been saying.
This one, though, they made sure they put an update underneath the title.
Update. Well, here's the thing, because a lot of YouTubers were saying, look, Watchmen was trash. Now, disclaimer, I didn't watch Watchmen. That's a really awkward sentence, but I didn't watch Watchmen because I love the graphic novel. I love the comic series, and I haven't even watched the movie of Watchmen. It's one of those things where I don't want to see somebody else's version of it. I haven't watched or read any of the sequels. I had no interest in watching this show, but people thought it was odd that, it got canceled as quickly as it did. And they were like, well, the average person on the street is not talking about Watchmen. It's not, must-see TV. It's not water cooler talk. It's not like Game of Thrones where everybody was talking about it.
I haven't watched that either.
Yeah, so...
It's not my kind of show, so...
Well, yeah, now you know how it ends, right? It's
not gonna end well anyway, so what difference does it make?
Yeah, so Watchmen, it just kind of came and went, and the media doubled down on defending the show, and a lot of comic book fans were like, only Alan Moore technically should have the right to do a sequel to what is considered his biggest work, right? And it got canceled. HBO pulled the plug on it. And people were like, well, that's because they told the story they wanted to tell. It's like, no, the ratings weren't good.
Yeah, and I know there was a lot of people in CBR with one of them that had articles up about, oh, it's amazing, it's the best ever. It's because, people are, haters and all this other stuff. And there was all that out there, I know. I remember seeing many articles about this all over the place.
Yeah, and that was another one where it was like a lot of fans were turning against media outlets over Watchmen because it was crazy political. Now, the original Watchmen was political too, but this was political in like modern day
America
type sense, and it had a lot of...
It was Twitter political.
It was Twitter political, right?
Twitterlitical.
Twitterlicious.
Twitterlitical. Or
Twitterlitical.
Paul Witter.
Paula Witter.
Witter.
Paula Witter sounds like she should be a racist chef
Paula Witter.
on some kind of a cooking show. Anyway, Watchmen seemed like a massive hit. Everywhere you looked, there were podcasts and articles breathlessly going through every detail of the show, including comic book
Most
resources.
of them were just going on about it and talking about why it's against men and why men suck and all that kind of crap and why it's so groundbreaking because it's so diverse. That was what most of the articles
Yeah,
were
white
about.
men are problematic. That was the purpose of Watchmen. Watchmen had the internet captivated with its every episode, it seemed. Now, I want to talk about this.
I didn't get that vibe. But
Well,
anyway.
no, because all the media outlets, and they tend to, kind of glom onto these shows, and they make it seem like the general public cares when they really don't.
I know that. I mean, I'm just saying, I got the idea that the media was trying to spin it that way, but I didn't get the idea that the public actually cared as much as the media did, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Well, it was an illusion. While it was a big hit among the nerd audience, that's debatable, it didn't translate to the massive success that HBO was hoping it would be. Looking at the actual viewership numbers and comparing that to other HBO successes, it's pretty clear that Watchmen was a niche show big with geek audiences, but not registering outside of that. We could say the same about, I think Netflix's She-Ra. Like it has a very, it has a very passionate fan base, but the average person on the street does not give a shit.
Can I have a moment for Bashir just for a moment?
No.
But whenever we have a moment, I have to interject this. I am so excited because see this beautiful thing right here? See this beautiful thing down here? That is going to be the PowerCon exclusive She-Ra based on the original figure. With a brush, which is also a battle axe, because
oh my god, that's
if you're gonna
awesome.
have a battle, I mean, you can cut your hair and your enemy while you brush it at the same time.
I know, right?
Or cut off your enemy's hair so you can carry it around to brush later.
Like a little wig.
So this is what's coming out. Look at this beauty. And then at the same time, we've also found out that Sonic restaurants are bringing out these things. No idea why. They look like crap.
Oh God!
Why is she's so here and he's like this tiny little sickly looking thing? And then what's this? What? I don't even.
It's inflatable. It's an inflatable sword. They're garbage. They're garbage toys, and it's weird because we don't even know for sure if there's going to be another season of She-Ra. But yeah, so Geeky is not pressed. But
this is bad. Yeah, garbage. But this is beauty. This is beautiful right here. Beauty. Even though it's problematic, but it's beautiful.
She's got boobs. And
this
hair.
is just, I think I like about this is the
skirt.
shield's kind of cool and the sword's kind of cool. But other than that, yeah, beauty. Anyway, continue.
Anyway, but we're seeing this a lot where a lot of these news outlets are defending shows. And a lot of times I think it's like spite defense. I think they're like, well, we know that the wrong kinds of fans hate this show, so we're going to double, triple, quadruple down.
Well, it's even before that. When you say wrong kind, that's the funny part. People who are longtime fans might just have an opinion, and if it's not glowing, immediately they're told they're the wrong kind of people and there's something wrong with them. Yep. By media outlets. And yeah, like you said, She-Ra was one of the big ones. Ghostbusters 2016. These are the big ones we started seeing it with. Where if you didn't agree and you thought you didn't like it, well, there was something wrong with you. What kind of, racist, misogynist, homophobic piece of shit are you? And it's like, but I just didn't like the costume.
Yeah.
I didn't try to get off to She-Ra. Sorry, you can't pin that on me. Even though there's a bunch of She-Ra Catra art out there with underage characters, but that's okay because it's for them. So
that's true. But I mean, again, there are different people writing for comic book resources. But I can't imagine an article being written like this even a couple months ago when Watchmen was on, saying that hey, the ratings weren't that good. And they're not. They're under 1 million. I mean, compare Watchmen to Game of Thrones, which had 3 times.
It could be there and we missed it because it's something we didn't care about. But I check all the time, and I haven't seen this many articles that are kind of calling stuff out as I have just now.
Here we go again. Star Wars Legacy was the ending the Skywalker saga deserved. We're talking about Expanded Universe, a comic that was published in 2006, saying this is what the Rise of Skywalker should have been. This is what the sequel trilogy should have been, and Lucasfilm dropped the ball.
Well, this one I can understand because right now everybody's pissed at Star Wars. So this one, I think, it is cool that they're, saying this, but I'm also like, I think they just know everybody's mad, and there's way more people who are mad at Star Wars right now than who aren't. So they figure they're betting on the they're making a pretty good bet here by pissing on it. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. There's definitely something going on, and I have to wonder if some of the writers at these blogs are just following a mandate, or they're writing articles that they think their audience wants. I think these outlets are starting to realize that a lot more fans. A lot of their audience, their older audience that has been following comic book resources for years, right? That built this site, basically. That fandom built this site. That you can't cast them aside to chase a new audience.
Some of the new audiences are very fickle and don't stick with things.
Yeah, they are. They are. And let's face it, a lot of the newer audiences aren't reading blogs at all. You know, like blogs are drying up. People don't do blogs as much as they used to. So it's interesting because this is something like I would have expected to see on Comic Book Resources 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, and this is what we've been talking about. Like, something is going on. The pendulum is starting to swing. We're starting to see some of the studios, you know, especially like with Sonic, walking back some decisions, trying to win back the fans. Meanwhile, we have the BBC tripling down Doctor Who, but that's another video. But I think we're starting to see some of these media outlets who are smart and want to survive and want to keep advertisers trying to make as many fans happy, I think.
Or just, trying to be less...
fair.
Yeah, more fair and less, divisive. Because it's not really getting them the hits it used to. But what started me down this path was the Rotten Tomatoes story they did. And I was like, oh my God, they're calling out Rotten Tomatoes. Holy crap.
Yeah, I literally just brought this up when I was talking about Doctor Who Series 12. There were a couple of what I would consider to be rotten reviews, 2 out of 5 or whatever, that they were counting as positive.
Yep.
And a lot of people have called out that Rotten Tomatoes is absolutely counting reviews as positive that are clearly not positive, and maybe vice versa, but mostly trying to count these reviews as being positive when they're not. We had one person, I just pulled this up, saying that they're going to quit Who, and it's a positive review. There's another one the other day I pulled up that said it was basically not good. It was trash. 2 out of 5. They count it as a positive.
Right. So, but they're basically saying, I thought this was interesting. They're talking about the scores and how the write-ups don't really match up, and they said it's a huge recurring contradiction with Rotten Tomatoes in terms of what counts as rotten or fresh. It creates a false narrative about the quality of the film and heighten people's expectations. Now, if you read the rest of the article, they're basically talking about how you need to read the entire articles, the reviews when they give them to you, because they're cherry picking pieces out to mark it as negative or to mark it as positive. But you can usually tell if something's predominantly positive or negative by what they write, and then they're not counting it correctly. And they said, they're calling out about Rotten Tomatoes being, not exactly, honest and. Is this what you're going to read?
Yeah,
I'm talking about this one, yeah.
Yeah, here are a couple, and again, this is like what I pointed out the other day for Doctor Who. They had a 2.5 out of 5, and they counted it as a positive, I think.
Those look more negative, but when you read the parts we wanted to talk about, it's more positive.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, I thought they said that you would get to mark it if it's positive or negative. I'm not thinking you can. I'm not a critic, so I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know how that works exactly, the nuts and bolts of it, but there are some reviews that were like, this is clearly a negative review, and they're counting it as a positive. There's
sometimes vice versa, yeah.
Very seldom. But what's interesting is just a year or two ago, we had the media gloating about how those nasty, nasty man babies we're gonna, they're gonna be in for it. The nasty man babies.
Oh, is this about Captain Marvel again?
Yeah.
Here's the thing about that, and I've mentioned this before, I'm mentioning it again. When they were going on about all the people coming to vote it down, on Twitter at the exact same time, there were groups on Twitter who were out there artificially voting it up. On purpose. So this up and down thing is not new. She-Ra, there was a bunch of people who were going out there and they were just voting it up to vote it up because they had a whole bunch of them and they were on like Tumblr and Instagram and stuff, and they were on here and they just put yay gay rights or something like that, and then 5 stars, and it was just a concerted effort to vote it up. So I think it's funny when they're mad about things being voted down. Meanwhile, on the flip side, they're doing it the exact same way, which actually kind of cancels each other out. But you don't hear about that. It's just the mean people trying to vote things down. There's people artificially trying to inflate things just as easily. So basically the takeaway is none of it's accurate. It's a bunch of people either, by the media standpoint, either artificially lowering it or, from what we saw, artificially inflating it.
Yeah, but it's interesting that Comic Book Resources is calling this out. Again, if Comic Book Resources put this article out a year ago, people would have called them alt-right Yahtzee sympathizers. They would have called them part of the problem. All of these articles agree with what a lot of YouTubers have been saying, a lot of fans have been saying, and it's very curious that within the last couple weeks we're seeing a little more balance on comic book resources.
No, we've called them out enough.
Now, I don't expect to see the same kind of articles on like the Mary Sue or anything like that.
No.
But
I mean, but they basically admit that they're skewed. So
yeah, but this is comic book resources 10 years ago. They used to be pretty balanced. They used to be pretty reputable. And maybe they're starting to realize that not all fans feel the same as some of their activist journalists feel.
But I'm not going to count on this staying this way. I mean, this could be a blip. You know what I mean? It'd have to take a lot more than that. It would take months of, balance and fair reporting for me to even consider it to be turning. Yeah. If I'm going to be honest. I mean, they do a couple that's good on them for doing a couple that are more fair, but you're going to take a lot more. That's going to take a lot more than that to convince people that it's fair. And
I think at this point, I mean, honestly, people are leaving these pop culture blogs in droves.
It might be a little too late, honestly.
It might be. I mean, I think we're going to see, especially with that thing from China, I think that we're going to see a lot of economic damage done to the entertainment industry, which means that these studios and game developers won't have as much money to spend. To buy off blogs?
Yeah,
pretty much. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, pretty much. I think that's what's going to happen, which means that they're going to, continue to decline.
Well, I'm interested to see if, because the thing we're not going to talk about gets bad, if I were these studios, if it was me, what I would do is I would release these as home release pay-per-view type things instead of going to the theaters, because or do them both simultaneously, because people can't go to the theaters, or they won't because of being afraid to. Or countries like China, where they're shut down. I would offer it as a pay-per-view option at the same time. But that's me. I mean,
yeah, I think that's going to happen. But then at that point, I mean, it's kind of like what we talked about the other day, where we're probably going to see the convention scene get thinned out considerably, because people are going to realize, like, well, wait, we don't need 90 different comic book conventions a year.
And we don't need to pay hundreds of dollars, $30,000 to set up at an event when we can just go do it ourselves.
Yeah, we can just live stream from the office. We'll get a little room here, and we'll just, you can do a Q&A with our people, because that was the whole purpose of doing the convention, was to get FaceTime with people. And now with the internet, you really don't have to do that as much. I mean, keep the bigger shows, right?
Right.
But you don't have to have a convention every weekend.
Right. It's getting overcrowded massively.
So I think people are going to realize that, these blogs aren't as necessary either. And I think some budgets are going to be pruned. And I think we're going to see more digital journalists out of work. It is what it is.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a step in the right direction, trying to be more fair, but I think it's going to take a lot more steps than a couple little baby steps like this to get people to trust and believe it again. So
yeah. So we're going to wrap this one up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.